Hey, you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. Beast! Peekaboo! I see you. I'm YouTube famous now. Available in 2020. The album, Dad. AF. Rock on, gold dust woman. Beast. The encore, the country edition. She picks a song, you turn it up to 11. You say, do you wanna? And she says, hell yeah. I have been driving around today, listening to a little Tim McGraw for you out there. How y'all doing? Little unknown fact about Peter Monn, I am a huge country music fan, in case you didn't know, I am. And I have been driving around with my windows down, and I have just been listening to the country all. If you wonder where I get my twang, it's probably from listening to so much country music, because I love country music. How you doing, Laura Lee? Whenever I talk about country music, I always have to shout out Laura Lee, because I know she loves country music too. But anyway, how are you guys doing today? I am having a fantastic day. I went and I got my coffee from Starbucks, and then I came home. I came to home, I said. I came to home, and then I put it in my Halloween 2 coffee mug. Cheers. I am so ready for Halloween this year. But before we get to Halloween, let's talk about some costumes. Let's talk about some drama that's been going on. Ethan Klein from H3H3, how do people watch this man? I mean, I don't really know much about him, but he is, he bore a snake, okay? I'm like sitting there watching this podcast, and I'm like, people enjoy this man's, I don't know anything about him, but I'm just like sitting there watching it, because several people had sent me this like information, the receipts, Whitney, the receipts! And I know people think I'm boring too, okay? I don't know how you could think I'm boring as fast as I talk and as crazy as I am. But I'm sitting there watching him, and I'm like, literally, there's like silence. And I'm like, this man, like, come on, let's get to something. Where is the interest here? I don't get it. But anyway, he and Trisha Paytas, who they used to not like each other, now they have this podcast together, did a podcast where they both were dressed in costumes, because they're like dressing in costumes for Halloween, or for the month of October, apparently. And Trisha was dressed as Elle Woods from Legally Blonde, you know, and which is one of my all-time favorite movies. And of course, I love the Bend and Snap. Who doesn't? And it works every time. Trust me, I've been with my husband 12 years. But anyway, so very interesting what came out in this podcast. They shade the hell out of James Charles, which we're going to talk about in just a second. And she also shades Tati and the entire beauty community. And apparently, James Charles is one of the most horrible people ever, according to Trisha Paytas and people that she knows. We're going to talk about this in just a second. I actually have notes from this. She picks a song, you turn it up to 11. You say, do you wanna? And she says, hell yeah. Do you guys like Tim McGraw? Anyway, I've listened to that song literally on repeat. Listen, while I was getting ready, I had it right here. I was listening to it on repeat. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. And then Jeffree'S came out today, and he has a big announcement. He's going to be posting his newest video, or his newest. Yeah, it is his newest, because he hasn't posted a video in over a month. People are wondering, why not? Why haven't you posted a video, Jeffree? So he came out with an announcement saying that he was going to be posting a new video this weekend, Friday, I think is what he said. Anyway, here, let's listen to what he had to say first, okay?
Oh, hello everyone. This weekend I will finally have a new video up on my channel. A very big life update and what's been happening behind the scenes. Who's also ready for Halloween, bitch? Wait till y'all see my house. It's about to be an extravaganza over here. And if you're in Hidden Hills, you're in for a treat.
So Jeffree'S has a big. Okay, first of all, my number one question is, I have several questions, actually. I always do. It's why I'm confused all the time, okay? But my first question is to people that actually know Jeffree'S, like, when you sit and, like, you're just driving around and getting a fountain pop with him, or, I don't know, you're, like, just sitting around the house talking or whatever, does he talk so exaggerated like that all the time? It reminds me a little bit of what's the woman, the actress that played in Sunset Boulevard, and she's like, I'm ready for my close-up. I mean, what is that, okay? It is the most affected personality I have ever seen, you know? It's like when Madonna got an English accent and everybody was like, okay, so you're English now? And it's Dorit all the time on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It's like, what is that? Do you talk like that all the time? Like, it is unreal to me. It's like, this would be the most unnerving thing to me if I was friends with Jeffree Star, but, you know, he doesn't invite me to his castle in the sky. I'd be like, could we have like a real moment here, please? Like, could we have like a real, genuine moment where it's just like two people talking? Or does he just do that for his fans and all this kind of stuff? Now, he has a huge life update. I already have that life update for you. It's right here in The Lonely Doll. All you have to do is read the book, The Lonely Doll. Right here, it tells you everything about Jeffree Star's life up in the Hidden Hills of Calabasas. And you too can get this book at a garage sale near you, which is where I got mine, okay? And it's The Lonely Doll, The Life and Times of Jeffree Star in the Castle in the Sky, Hogwarts, where we take all of the past dramas and poof, we make them disappear and we rewrite history. All right, so that's the first thing I'm very confused about. I'm gonna talk to you about what I think this video is gonna be in just a second. But second of all, have you been following, if you've been watching my videos, then you know about this, the fakery of his ex, okay? So he's got this Andre Marhold, who he really was kind of seeing, I guess, who I've been following his Instagram very closely. Then there's a second Andre Marhold, who his account is supposedly fake. Although now I'm wondering, is it fake or is it not fake? Like, I can't really tell anymore, you know? But he keeps on teasing out that he's gonna tell the story. And like, he just put up like earlier today, like these receipts that he's already posted like 4 or 5 days ago. And he's like, I have the receipts, why would I lie about it? I'm like, well, you've never shown your face. You could come on and you could show your face or do a video and say, so see, it is really me. This is the real Andre Marhold. Why would you not do that if you wanted people to really believe it's you? Because it's not you, okay? Or you don't want people to think it's you, so you don't do that because you want to like act like it's fake. Andre Marhold, on his account today, he posted on his Instagram story to report the second account and say that it's fake, okay? I'm so confused by that. I have so many questions, okay? The next thing I'm very confused about is, you know, it's always interesting to me when Jeffree Star dates these people. It was very similar with Nathan. Like, Nathan picked up, Jeffree picked up Nathan and kind of like brought him to California, transplanted him to California, put him in his house. They did all that kind of stuff, you know. Apparently Nathan and Jeffree like met and all that kind of stuff when Jeffree didn't have any money and all that kind of stuff. But you know what's interesting is that, like, I don't remember Nathan really being in the spotlight with Jeffree until Jeffree had money. So maybe I wasn't watching him at the time and all that kind of stuff. But it's like he picked up Nathan, took him out of his environment, transplanted him to California, fixed him up how he wanted him to be, and then turned it into Jeffree Star's boyfriend, not just Nathan Schwant, you know? And now Nathan has moved back to Grand Rapids, and he is living his life like he always did before. It's like this time in between never existed, which is very interesting to me, you know? Then you have Andre Marhold, who Jeffree Star, how he met him is a mystery. We still don't know how he, you know, Jeffree's like, we met and we like started, how did you meet? Did y'all meet, you know, on the Tinder, on the Grindr? Did you swipe right? Were you up in each other's DMs? Like, how did you meet this guy? You want us to believe these stories that you put out there? Because I think he thought this was just going to come and go. Because when I originally talked about this story, investigated it, no. When I originally reported, because I'm a reporter of the world, when I originally talked about this story, I said in there, number one, the way that I was going to measure whether or not it was real was how long this guy stayed around. Not long. Didn't stay around long. So what purpose would he serving for you, Jeffree? Why did you choose to date this specific person? That would be the question I think that people should be asking. Why this specific person? Would Jeffree decide to choose to act like they were hanging out at that time? Was there a reason or a motive why he would pick this specific person out of the blue? Who now is literally doing everything that he possibly can to ride his 15 minutes of fame of being Jeffree Star's hangout partner for as long as he can. But what's interesting to me is, if you watch this guy's Instagram stories, because I follow him, so I watch all of his Instagram stories in case he comes out and decides to do this tell-all video that he keeps on teasing out. You know, it's interesting. He's in a club literally every single night with all of his friends. Jeffree Star picked him up and transplanted him to California and then took him to like Wyoming or Montana, and they put pictures out in the middle of the field and whatever, and Jeffree was riding around this guy's back, and they were like in coffee shops and stuff. I don't know if you've watched this guy, but he doesn't seem like somebody to me that's real interested in going to little quaint coffee shops and taking walks in the woods. He just doesn't, okay? He's all about like being out at the clubs with his good Judies, okay? Which I'm sure he doesn't refer to as his good Judies. He probably, So anyway, I refer to my good Judies as good. Do you? Anyway, but I'm watching this last night, and I'm like, I would just, for 5 minutes, love to see Jeffree Star. Like, if they were really, like, let's just say if this hangout had, like, extended past hanging out, and they, like, really were going to get to know each other, because Jeffree Star said I didn't know anything about him. Well, why don't you spend 5 minutes in his life? Why don't you go to Atlanta and spend some time in his world, in his life, If you've watched his Instagram stories, can you imagine Jeffree Star sitting there up in the club? And I have to believe that these people would pay him no mind, okay? That they would not be interested in him whatsoever, because they seem to be pretty happy living their best life, okay? No, he wants all the attention on him. He wants the spotlight on him. So he brings the guy to him, right? And brings him into his world. So it's very, very interesting. I kind of am starting to wonder if, like, he didn't really, like, bring the wrong listen, if it wasn't truly, like, they were hanging out, which, like, Jeffree Star meets this guy, he doesn't know anything about him. He comes out in an Instagram story and says, I didn't really know anything about him. I didn't know how he made his money. I didn't know anything about him, right? I didn't know anything about his background. So you just met this guy, and you flew him out there, then he has no idea what this guy is capable of or, like, what his motives are. I think this guy might, at some point, really come out and tell some I mean, he's been in the house. He knows what. No matter what this NDA says, he might just one day say, F this NDA. I don't really care. There's going to be somebody at some point on Jeffree Star that's going to say, I don't care what NDA I signed. Like, it's whatever. It's null and void at this point. Plus, like, Jeffree Star has come out and said something is about him. There may be clauses in this NDA that make it null and void, and he could come out at some point and say something. So it's just very interesting to me, like, this whole thing. And anyway, it makes it seem at this point like whoever Jeffree dates in the future, like, how real could it possibly be? You know what I mean? So anyway, Jeffree's going to come out with a video this weekend, and I think that what Jeffree will say is that he's going to announce his next collection, which will either be a holiday collection coming out in December, around Thanksgiving, and it'll probably come out, or he'll announce another thing that's coming out in October. He'll do this life update and talk about, there's been some rumors about I've been dating. What we're not going to do is drama. Watching his videos, if you, like, imitate him, it's kind of like doing an aerobics exercise like jazzercise. It's like this. If you did every movement that Jeffree Star does in his videos, it's kind of like you would be really working out your extra body constantly, So he'll come out and he'll address what's been going on with this guy in some way, but then he'll say, I just met this person, and I just didn't really know much about him, and it'll be literally like a 30 seconds of the video, and it'll be called something like addressing the rumors or something like that, my life update or whatever, It's going to be real interesting when he sees that not really many people care. And then I think that he'll come out and he'll talk about that he's living his best life and he's so happy right now and he's spending time alone and he's really focusing on being single and getting to know Jeffree, and he's really working on himself and trying to be the best version of himself that he can be and growing, and that, like, he's really wanting to be the best version. I think he'll go into all this kind of deal, and then I think that he'll come out and say that he's been working on tons and tons of stuff, and they have so many exciting releases to come out, like the holiday collection, but he won't say much about it. And then I think he'll say something about, like, the mystery boxes maybe, and then, like, the Halloween mystery boxes. Maybe that's what it's going to be. Who knows? I don't know, but there'll be some kind of release. Why don't you come out and talk about what people really want to know? Like, seriously, why don't you tell the tea on this dude? Why don't you really talk about what this is all about and if it was real or not? I would respect Jeffree Star so much if he got in a video and said, listen, everybody thinks that this guy that I was dating was fake, and it totally was. Like, I faked the whole thing. I paid him. I had him come out here and whatever. And you know what? You figured it out, I would, like, for once, like, first of all, there would be 30 drama videos made about him. But I would be like, oh, my God, Jeffree Star has the ability to get, like, real on camera, Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see him not sitting on a gold couch posed, talking about, like, who he is and who he was and Jeffree Star of yes, all that. I don't want to see all that. Like, I want to see a real moment with Jeffree Star. And I don't really think he's capable of it anymore. I don't really think, it's really sad to me watching him, because it's like, I don't really even think that he knows who he is anymore. I don't really think Jeffree Star has I think that he has all of the money that he could possibly want in the most gorgeous house. And I think that You know, he even, like, the pictures that he posts when he's with people, like, you guys, like, he is, like, really, like, it's like he has very few friends anymore. They're either, like, assistants that he takes pictures with, or it's, like, some random, like, beauty influencer. I mean, Jeffree used to be at the top, like, you know, with hanging out with all of the people. Like, nobody wants to be with him anymore. And yes, it's because he got rid of all those people, but do you think if like, Manny's not going to hang out with him, Laura's not going to hang out with him, James is not going to hang out with him, Nikita's not going to hang out with him, Gabriel's not going to hang out with him unless it's, you know, helps Gabriel out, Tati's not going to hang out with him, Shane Dawson's gone. I mean, Nikki Tutorials is probably, like, keeping her distance, you know? It's like all of these people that were at one point, you think Raw Beauty Christie's gonna get in a video with Jeffree Star. Girl, on what day? On Sunday. Okay, she is not that stupid. She is not that stupid, trust. But, you know, like, he has literally no pull and no clout within the beauty community anymore. People used to live for his, like, Jeffree Star approved videos. Nobody cares. He can't come out and say if it's Jeffree Star approved or not because nobody cares if it's Jeffree Star approved. He has screwed himself. He has so screwed himself. And this is where people are like, it won't really hurt his business. It is hurting his business. I don't know how you guys cannot see the fact that this is literally hurting his business. Because in the last month, he would have come out with at least a video a week doing like a Jeffree Star approved review or something. He's not, because nobody cares, right? And he's not going to put out a video and get 300,000 views on it and have everybody come for him and say, he only got 300,000 views. So he's going to come out and he's going to do a video and he's going to do a life update. What is so exciting? We watch your Instagram stories. Gal, we know what's going on with your life. You post on your Instagram stories unless you've been keeping vast secrets back there up in your purse closet. You know, are you building a new vault? Who'd care? Who cares? All these people always rebuilding closets. Who cares, okay? It's just, half of my clothes end up on the couch anyway. I take them off, I fold them, I put them on there, and, you know? It's just like, what? It's just like not that deep. I just don't care. It's like, there used to be a world where I was interested in this person, but he's not a good person, that's obvious, okay? He takes no responsibility for his actions. He doesn't really care about other people. He treats other people horribly. You don't know what to believe that comes out of his mouth, and all he cares about is his business. What is interesting about that? That he's buying a new car? Whoopity-doo! There's a lot of people that are buying 300,000 cars, and guess what? I don't care about them either, but I'm going to continue to talk about it over here because he's a beauty influencer on YouTube. So, let's talk about the Trisha Paytas and Ethan Klein thing. Like I said, like, I know people like him and they think he's funny and whatever. I just don't understand it, okay? And I do want to say this before I get into this. So, they wear costumes and he's dressed up like James Charles and he has one of his Teddy Fresh sweatshirts on and he has sisters written over it because it's basically the same, you know, the whole scandal with the sweatshirts, okay? And he goes in and you can tell he is still really bitter about this whole thing where James Charles stole something from him. When I came out in my first video when I talked about it, I said that I thought that it was not great, okay? And that I said that I thought that it was horrible if James Charles really did copy that, and that this was somebody's designs, this was Ethan Klein's wife's designs, and that I think it's horrible when people steal other people's artistry. I really, really do, okay? In the second video and in the third video that I talked about it, it kind of started going down. It's like, okay, you're beating a dead horse at this point, right? Like, it's like, at what point did you just let this go? I don't understand, like, the need to continue to perpetuate the story over and over and over again. And quite frankly, at this point, he's the one that looks foolish to me. That's just how I feel about it, okay? That you are really, really you're letting James Charles rent space in your head for free, okay? Years ago, I interviewed Kelly Catrone from People's Revolution. She owns People's Revolution, which is like the largest PR fashion firm in the world, right? And she had her own reality show called Kel on Earth, and she was on The City, and she was on Bits of the Hills and things like that. And I remember I interviewed her and I said, what do you do when people steal ideas from you? And she laughed and she was like, she was fantastic, by the way. And she laughed and she was like, I let them have it. She was like, because obviously they don't have any creative ideas. So they need it. But I can come up with 1,000 more creative ideas. Ethan, let it go, okay? Let it go. Let James have his design. You come up with something 10 times, 100 times better, you know? And live in that truth, right? Instead of letting it just, like, eat at you over and over and over again. I don't understand that. When you just let somebody, like, I don't know, just continue to own you all day long. I've been there. I have been at that point in my life before where I felt like somebody owned me, and it is not a good place, okay? It's like, I don't want that anymore. Like, I just don't, you know? So anyway, the first thing is, that it's literally like, this is like 3 minutes. It's right at the beginning. You can watch like the first 10 minutes and you'll get all of this, okay? He's also hooked up to a lie detector test in it, like as a joke, because James Charles just did a video where he came out on this lie detector test, and in the lie detector test, he gets asked the question, were you aware of the Teddy Fresh thing before you designed yours? He says no, and the guy says that's the truth. And it's this lie detector guy that's been in a lot of videos. Supposedly he's like, I didn't look, but he has his own channel or something, I don't know too. He also did lie detector tests on Shane Dawson and David Dobrik, whatever, okay? Trisha Paytas comes out and she says that the lie detector guy literally says to you, tell me what you want me to say, okay? And that he's not real. That's what she said. She said that she did a video with him and that he literally was like, just tell me what you want me to say. Period. And that they figured out what answers they wanted to say for the video, whatever. Oh, a YouTube video that's not real? Who would ever guess, okay? So that's what he says. So basically what they're saying is that everything that James Charles said in that video was a complete lie, okay? And that guy just came up with these concocted answers, or that James and him came up with these concocted answers. Basically, this is what it's alluding to, so that, just for the purpose of the video, but also like that, no, he didn't have anything to do with the Teddy Fresh thing, okay? Then it goes into this whole thing. They kind of have this little back and forth deal going on where, like, Trisha's talking about how he looks and how he's dressed and whatever, and he says something about, like, okay, my battery died. Anyway, so Ethan goes on to say that James Charles is a douche after interacting with him, okay? Which I thought was interesting because he's talking about this one specific interaction that he's had with him, which is over the sweatshirts. Of course, he would think that, right? Because it didn't go the way that he wanted it. And wow. Every YouTuber in the world on YouTube that's gotten their way forever, if they don't get their way, they're going to take their toys and go home, just like James Charles does, right? Oh, is James Charles a mirror for you, Ethan? I don't know. Anyway, so I don't know enough about him to know that. But anyway, so I'm sitting there and I'm watching this and I'm thinking to myself, you know, I've had quite a few interactions with James Charles myself. You know, not anything recently. Y'all know I don't want to interact with these celebritons of YouTube. And I don't want any PR and all that kind of stuff, right? But back in the day, I did. I FaceTimed with him. I talked to him and things like that. You know, there's a lot that I could say about James Charles. You know, that I think that he's maybe not open to suggestions and that he thinks he's right most of the time and things like that. I don't know that douche is a word that I would ever apply. First of all, I don't care for that word, but I don't know that I think that that's a word that I would apply to James Charles, okay? And in fact, I can't really think of a lot of people that I've interacted with on YouTube that I would say that about. And when you think about the common kind of definition that we all think of in relation to that person, or to that word, we think about it the way that I think most people use it, you know, like, it's kind of like referencing some dude you'd see in a bar or something like that. I definitely don't think of James Charles that way. Do I think that James Charles was not direct and fair with Ethan Klein? Absolutely. Do I think they probably should have had some sit-down phone call conversation? Absolutely. Like, why did it need to occur all in the public? Unless you both were benefiting from it, because then James Charles was selling more merch and Ethan was selling more merch at the same time. Which, yet again, I mean, all these celebritons of YouTube always looking for ways to monetize, you know? So then it goes into this whole thing, and Trisha says, this was interesting to me, she starts going this whole thing about James Charles and the beauty community. And she says, and these are direct quotes, she says that James has a bad heart. Okay, now mind you, she says in here that she's never met him, okay? She goes on later to say, I've never met him. But she says that James Charles has a bad heart. Ethan responds and says, I don't know that I can say that James has a bad heart, right? Trisha then goes on to say, he's pretty evil. She said the whole beauty community is evil. And then she says, like Tati, and he cuts her off, but she was going to go on and say something about Tati, which, of course, she would come for Tati because she will defend her best friend, Shane Dawson, to the end. She will say whatever she possibly can to defend Shane Dawson, which is interesting to me, having interacted with Shane Dawson, and Shane Dawson talked about Trisha to me. So it is whatever, but she doesn't want to believe any of that, right? Or she does and she doesn't care because she doesn't believe that friends treat each other that way. I like to have friends in my life today that don't talk about me behind my back. That's all I'll say, you know? And my best friend of 23 years, I know for a fact she don't talk about my back, okay? And I just know that she's not that kind of person. And I know that because she doesn't talk about other people behind their backs as well. And that's how I know that. So anyway, she said she's never met him. And she said that, she knows people that have had horrific experiences with him, and that she heard that he's actually a horrible person. That's what she said. I've heard that he's actually a horrible person. Okay, Trisha. So we're going to take Trisha's word for this. She's heard from people, but she doesn't want to say, but she's heard from people that he's actually a horrible person, but she's never met him, okay? But you want to come for Tati, for what Tati did against James Charles. I mean, are you the pot or the kettle? Like, I mean, seriously, all right? You want to come and say that Tati is this horrible person because of what she did supposedly to Shane Dawson, which is no different than what you just did in this video. In fact, Tati actually came with receipts that had been vetted legally that she could use it in a video that her attorney said that she could stand behind and say. She said what she said in her video, and now you're saying that James Charles is a horrible person. You're really no different than Tati is, right? Like, it's just all amazing to me. So, hold on a second. Then she starts talking about how, like, a lot of people are going to be brought down because they're just not good people. And she said he'll be brought down somehow because she says they're not good people. Basically saying that at some point James Charles is going to lose everything that he has and all this kind of stuff because he's just not a good person. So, anyway, I don't know. What do y'all think about all of that? I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot to stomach. So do you think that James Charles is actually a bad person? Who did she hear this from, you know? You think Trisha Paytas is going to make a video and talk about all of her sources of who she heard was that James Charles said was about, that she told her that James Charles was actually a horrible person? She didn't hear it from me because I know I never said that to her, and I don't think that James Charles is a horrible person. Do I think that James Charles has a lot of learning to do in his life, like a lot of people, like Trisha and like and myself and everybody else? Yeah, we all have a lot of learning to do in the world, you know? I think you got to be really careful when you start putting words on people like horrible and evil and things like that, and with absolutely nothing to back that up whatsoever. I don't know, like, I don't like that when we talk about people that way. So anyway, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.